Streets of Rage 4. Damn, that was a good game. Every so often in the indie game scene, if you want to call it that, it takes just a few games to bring with it a flurry of similar titles, and right now, classic side-scrolling beat-em-up fans have an abundance of new-age incredible titles in the genre. Each title provides different art styles and gameplay elements that make them feel unique. And without a doubt, the three biggest contenders taking to the streets are River City Girls 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and this.
Final Vendetta!
You can be damn sure I will be checking them all out. But today, I want to check out the one that I've been most excited for. I am, of course, talking about Final Vendetta. Final Vendetta was created by the team over at Bitmap Bureau. These are the guys who made that incredible Xeno Crisis game that I never shut up about, a title created off the back of the Mega Drive/Genesis hardware, taking inspiration from games such as Smash TV. Then, they released Battle Axe, which was a stunning follow-up to the genre, albeit a bit short, pushing the team's skills to provide a similar styled game but with less limitations, ultimately creating what is without a doubt one of the greatest looking pixel art games to be released in the last decade. And now they're taking on the side-scrolling beat-em-up genre with this. A game created from the ground up to run on Neo Geo hardware and newer hardware, of course, a system that has more than its fair share of one-on-one fighters but very few side-scrollers by comparison. And honestly, most of them have aged more than most retro gamers would like to admit. But never fear, because Final Vendetta is here. And let me tell you guys, it's the very best game of this genre on that system. The game starts off with a call to Claire Sparks, whose sisters have been taken hostage, and it's up to the three main stars of the game to win her back. All very standard stuff. Claire, who is usually my go-to character in these sorts of games, is of course the fastest, but in turn the weakest. Miller T. Williams is the opposite end of the scale. That's the dude with the most health, but of course by far the strongest. And then of course you got Damian Duke Sancho, who is the perfect middle ground. As you begin your journey, the insanely good feature cast and Utah Saints soundtrack, blended with the ultra smooth pixel artwork of the characters by Jabba Grant, melds together so well. It's quickly apparent that the game is a lot more Final Fight than Streets of Rage, with its gameplay style meaning that it's a tad more heavy with its control scheme, its overly large and detailed sprites, and its slightly slower characters. After playing a few more established titles that you are no doubt more familiar with at first, this may actually put a few people off. I must admit that when I first tried this game, I was struggling. In fact, I'm still struggling with the title a little. Yes, everything feels perfect in regards to the way the characters move and fight. The team have absolutely nailed down with pixel perfect precision, but it's not as pick up and play as you may expect, and definitely expects you to master its mechanics slowly and, quite frankly, painfully. Even on easy mode, I was struggling to get past stage 4 of 6 in this game, although a few days earlier I was struggling to get past stage 3, so you know, I am definitely getting better. In order to survive, you need to learn how to dodge, what moves work best against each character, and something I'm still trying to remind myself to do constantly is to block. You only have split seconds to dodge the first attack, but that leaves you with an opening to retaliate, get this down, and you quickly, what am I saying, you slowly learn to include this into your arsenal of mastered moves, of which this game has many. So many. Without a doubt, one of the biggest issues that I have with the game is the training mode. It's grayed out. You can't click it, it's just not available until you complete the game. Or cheat. Which is weird, right? Final Vendetta is a game you absolutely need to practice. Of course they didn't want to show all the characters off in training mode straight away, which is why I assume they blocked it out. But surely drip feeding the characters as you discover them in arcade mode would have really helped you, the player, get better at the game rather than having to wait until stage 3, 4, 5 or even 6 to go up against them. And by then, of course, you have practically no health to practice, resulting in you dying rather quickly and starting again. If you ask me, cheating to unlock the training mode to actually practice for the main game is an absolute must. You need to do this if you actually want to get anywhere in the game. However, it is still a very hard game. Also, not to give it away too much, but as grateful as I am for at least the addition of the training mode, when accessible, it's seriously bare bones. Bitmap Bureau are very well known for not just creating new indie games, they create proper retro games, the OG hard games you remember, and of course, because of this, your replayability in 2022 may vary. Do you keep practicing over and over, getting your ass handed to you, or do you give up and just try something else? Of which, as we discussed, there is quite a few titles to choose from. If you want to get better at the game, you need to think old school. Open up that manual, chat to your friends, perhaps buy a strategy guide or a magazine. It's the only way you're going to learn to beat this game and eventually master its eventually very satisfying juggling mechanics. If you ask me, and this is just my opinion, games have come a long way. Adding a few quality of life features like moveset instructions into the game, or even the ability to add more than one enemy type into training mode would have really helped you advance your ability. But with that said, if a retro styled game is what you're after, then a retro styled game you will be getting for better and for worse. Again, this is just my opinion. Because when you get good, you get addicted. The ways of the underground. Final Vendetta is a brilliant title if you give it the time. Don't be put off by its rather steep difficulty spike. It's an incredibly rewarding title that once again, like all bitmap games, has come 20 to 30 years too late, meaning that if this game did get released on the Neo Geo back in the early 90s, it would have not only helped the system sell more units, but in this day and age, it would have been fondly remembered as one of the greatest beat-em-ups of all time, right up there with your Streets of Rage and your Final Fights. The level of detail to the mechanics is instantly recognizable here. The amount of time each hit takes, the impact of different attacks against each different enemy feels perfectly calculated. Nothing is left up to millennium-aged physics engines here, and that's the way these games should be. From my research, the team made sure to measure these attacks, including the speed and the hitboxes, to absolute perfection. They did this by apparently recreating Final Fights from the ground up to see how the game would work today, and from here they added newer mechanics such as juggling to the mix to really bring that retro-styled flair to the new age gamer, and the results are instantly recognizable, especially in the graphics department. Now, of course, this is going to be polarizing and then some. The pixel art style has been overdone in recent years and then some, but never have I seen a game in this genre with this graphical style look as smooth as this, and then some. You still of course have the moonwalking like animations of all characters, which I would be upset if they removed, quite frankly, but the way the characters dot about the screen or the enemies bring themselves into the playing field is actually quite mesmerizing. I was grinning from ear to ear seeing how so many characters bring themselves to the fight rather than just simply coming in from the left and the right, which of course they still also do. You expect nothing less from this company by this point after working with Henk on Battle Axe and Xenocrisis and now Jiva Grant, who has done some insane work right here. It's my understanding that he pretty much did all of this himself, taking a good 2 years to get it where it was before production even started. Little things like the way the classic beat-em-up car scene has multiple levels of damage showing up in different locations on the car. The only real slight nitpick I have is the backgrounds. They do not move at all. I think this is why the characters seem to pop out slightly more than they perhaps should against that background. This is extra noticeable when going up against the final boss, whose small background area is fully animated, bringing the entire experience to life so much more than any other area in the game. Of course, this is a big ask, and obviously it would have doubled the length of the development time of this game, and hey, it might not have even allowed it to be accessible on the original Neo Geo. But hey, the difference between the true living, breathing world of the final stage and every single other stage was very noticeable, at least to me. And then of course, you've got the music. I've had plenty of good things to say and showcase in this review, with the odd nitpick of course. However, I seriously do not think I have one negative thing to say whatsoever about the soundtrack. In fact, I'll go on record to say that this soundtrack will instantly go right up there as one of my all-time favourite video game soundtracks, alongside the likes of Jet Set Radio, Streets of Rage and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It really is that good. Being that the game is a grimy British brawler, a country that has a rich varied history of electronic music, retro gaming fans will no doubt understand the importance of fusing together these classic electronic elements into a game that's aiming to be this nostalgic.
Now check this out.
From the hip-hop beats found in the character select and title screen sections, to the bosses going into the crazy Square Pusher-esque looping beats. Venturing forth into the underground with, of course, the dirty underground Prodigy-esque dance beats grinding over the top of the excellent punch and kick sound effects. And of course, the all-important, upbeat, euphoric house melodies of that first level. The whole thing just sucks you in just as much as the game does itself. All great brawlers need a killer soundtrack, and with this excellent feature cast / Utah Saints blended OST, we have, as stated, one of the greatest assortments of electronic music styles ever to be put into a video game. Bring on the inevitable LP. So in review, Final Vendetta is a fantastic game, although it does of course have its drawbacks. Released 30 years ago, it would likely be in the top 10 of most people's game lists, but nowadays, with so many other contenders and so many overall improvements to the majority of retro-styled games, gamers may feel a little underwhelmed if they don't put the effort to learn this game inside out. It would have been nice if the game included more fun gameplay mix-ups besides that one smash the car minigame like some earlier games do, and of course having no online support doesn't help things. However, as typical brawlers go, it has plenty of reasons to go back and explore the 6 levels for fun, looking for the hidden lives on each stage and mastering the movesets. It comes across as overly harsh from time to time. Even easy is virtually the same as hard, besides extra lives and the occasional change up in enemy / projectile placements, and I sadly do predict that quite a few people will simply put the game down due to it not offering an easier option or any real advice on how to get better at playing the game until after you've completed it. Thankfully, I feel like these small gripes could be improved simply with an update that wouldn't affect the overall experience, and hopefully this is something that gets included in the future. But for right now, for those that do have the time and want a game that's retro in every single sense of the word, they will find that Final Vendetta has a lot to offer if you give it enough time. A highly recommended brawler if you've got the time, with the very best soundtrack of this genre since Streets of Rage 2. And guys, whilst I was recording all of this, I had a knock on the door and this turned up. So let's unbox it. We gon' get 'em. And there you have it, guys. That's my review for Final Vendetta. This is what's in the box. That soundtrack is in the box. I adore the soundtrack. Worth it alone just to get that CD. Anyway, whilst I show you what's in the box, I want to just shine some light into what's going on here. So this game was announced to be coming out an extremely long time ago, you know, the exact release date. And then all of a sudden, that other game that everyone's talking about, that was going to be coming out on the exact same day. I believe it's the exact same day as this one. I would hate to be the developers of this game, working on this for years, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, there's hardcore competition. I mean, I understand, you know, this is the same style of game, and, you know, let's try and bury it, shall we? You know, these guys announced that they've got Utah Saints coming back, which is a big deal here in the UK, guys. And then only 10 minutes later, go check it out on Twitter, honestly, the other game, or at least the marketing company behind that other game, announced that they have the Wu-Tang Clan. I don't think that was done by accident, guys. I really don't. I'm just here to tell you guys that both of these games are so different to one another. I mean, obviously they're both brawlers, but that other game is a lot more, I suppose, accessible to everyone from the get-go. It's a lot more frantic, where this one, however, is a lot more hardcore and dedicated to the hardcore brawler enthusiast, I suppose. I had a lot of fun with this game. Just as long as you give it enough time, you will also get a lot of fun out of this one. I highly suggest you do give it a go. And Bitmap Bureau, well, great game again. Good job. I really enjoyed it after I put the time in. And yeah, guys, if this is up your street, I highly suggest you do support this company and this game. It was really good fun. Anyway, just wanted to say that. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you all later. Bye bye.